This nigga literally is standing in the middle of the doorway. He's trying to get my attention. That's when you get people with real mental problems. So I just wanted to show y'all what I meant now. I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen when people try to come through the door. It's amazing how sometimes people, and I don't know what's wrong exactly with men of color nowadays, but this man is literally standing right here so I can look at it. Like, it's crazy. And he's now not even moving at all. So ask yourself, who stands right here and does that? You know? So if there comes somebody through the door, let's see what he does. Watch something like that. I don't know. It just depends, you know? Now he wants to sit down. Maybe there's a monkey. Hey, what's going on, Rebees? What's going on? Nothing. I just wanted to make sure I just took this little clip of this darky standing outside the door acting like he's here to rob somebody or something. Like, he's literally... Is that weird or what? And it started out with him just turning around staring at me at first. So then he came in the door and just stood by the door. Now, whatever he is, he's like Jamaican, whatever the hell he is. Which leads me to this. To my immigrant people, I'm American first, all right? And I'm going to tell you exactly what I mean by I'm American first. First of all, I adhere to all and everything that's here in the United States, meaning that the laws and the bylaws and everything like that, they're meant to fit everyone. There's been a lot of aggression lately, specifically from a lot of immigrant groups against African Americans and whites, because I've heard now whites talk about the same issues that I'm talking about. And for some reason or another, this passive aggressive nature in them, I think it's because they want to, like, how can I say it and use the best words? They kind of like want to put themselves somewhere in society where they are not only looked upon better, maybe that's it, or maybe they just, you know, have an identity crisis, which I think most immigrants that are coming to this country right now are having. I think it's a problem. You know, I can imagine going to a foreign country myself, and I'm trying to make this as sensitive as possible. I can imagine going to a foreign country. My eyes are set on like places like France and Germany, of course. I get to those, and England. I mentioned those like 3 times. And going there and it's trying to impose my aptitude on the people, meaning that, say if I went to, went to France, and I went to France and I said, you know what, everybody in France is going to start acting French because I'm here. My 5 people are here, so we're all going to start acting American here in France. Does that make sense? This again is taking the cue from the liberals, and that's why I have a problem with it. If you watch right now, you see the actions that Joe Biden is making right now. I guess you could say that times now that I've been in front of Trump Tower, I guess it stands as testament, I guess, you know, I don't know. But there's something definitely going on within and I'm going to say in the adversaries of Latin culture, Arab culture, and I would third say Asian culture. And Asians, they really kind of like got me because I'm seeing a lot of Asian people walk around and they're looking at people that, you know, some people have this contention that they're not going to wear a mask, and that's just what it's going to be. And, you know, I can argue with them. I can say, hey, I kind of agree with them, whatever the case may be. But it's always funny when I see someone Asian walk past somebody that doesn't have a mask, and I'm like, didn't this all start with y'all? Like, out of anyone that would have any type of contention, any type of, like, anything, I would think it wouldn't be someone that's Asian right now. You know what I mean? Like, I really would think. Now, remember I was telling you about the baby boys and how they act like women? Look at this thing. I want to show this thing. It's just crazy. It's really crazy. I don't know. He was like Haitian, African, something. They all like have this contention where they're better than everybody. But when we really break down it, you have Japanese and half European. So I got to ask you, Jan, why is it here in America? I don't know if you live in America or not, because I have people from all over that follow me and stuff, but why is it that Asian Americans now feel like they are somehow or some way just like, I don't know, better than everybody or something like that, or better places than I don't know, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's not even places read beans. It's like everywhere. Like if you're just in society, you're just in public, if you're just in whatever. It's always like that. You know what I mean? And what I notice is like a lot of the Arabs, Africans, and I'm gonna say some of the Asians, they try to play this sort of like. Let me put it to you like this: you can't dress black, listen to black music in your car, ride up and down the street with black music. Your mannerisms and the way you talk are the ghetto of black. Like let's get that correct. When a lot of times when I see these people emulate the style, they emulate the ghetto portion of us. They're not emulating our doctors. They're not emulating our lawyers. They're not emulating our congressmen or anything like that. They're just emulating nothing more than ghetto shit that they see on TV. And most of us in black culture, I can say personally, just laugh at it. I'm like, look at him. You put all that energy into acting like the benign bottom half of us, you know what I mean? How many times you've been out in public and somebody, just because of the color you are, they walk up to you with some kind of, hey, yo, what's up? Or, hey, what's going on? Yo. And sound like they're like from the fucking 70s or something. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? You know what I mean? I've had so many instances of that happening with me that I can't even name them anymore, you know? And when you break it all down, you're like, I went to college. I worked for a fucking record company for 16 years. And you work where? Oh, Stop and Shop, gotcha. You work where? Oh, you're the janitor, gotcha. You work where? Oh, you work in a bank as a teller. Oh, I got you. You know? So I know I'm not the only one, and I know many of us have been that way or whatever. And it's hard for me to say it because I'm half of a Caribbean person myself, and I get it. So a lot of people will look at me as I'm saying this and be like, well, aren't you from the Caribbean? My father's from the Caribbean, and my father didn't stand for that. My father comes from a generation of immigrants. When they came here, they assimilated into the United States. It wasn't this Latinx crap where it's like, okay, I'm gonna act Latin at the core, but everything I gotta use everybody for or pretend I gotta do, whatever, I'm gonna do that. That's not how it works. If you come to our country, and I think more African Americans need to start saying this, if you come to our country, then you're gonna assimilate not only in the language, you're gonna assimilate not only the actions, you're gonna assimilate one, in more particular, you're not gonna be passive aggressive to people that have been in this country for 9, 10, 12, 13, 14 generations. And the way I'm getting at it, and I don't know how y'all getting at it, but I've spoken to a lot of other hard-hitting brothers, and they said the same thing. I'm ready to go to war with them. And that might be what we have to do. See, one thing that we have on our side is, and what they don't realize is, white folks and us are like that. We might argue, we might do whatever we want to do. But you better believe one thing that white folks, especially white folks in power, won't do, is they won't ever turn their back on the nation's nickels. Every war that this country has fought, every hardship that this country has had, if you are an American citizen and you are a black distinction, you have a better chance than you do than being one of these everyday, come lately immigrants that come to this country and they poke their chest out and their only defense is always, I'm making money. You're making the money to people that don't want to work those jobs here in America. You know what I'm saying? To be quite honest with you. And somebody should have told you that a long time ago. Let me read who's in here. Reed Beans. Hey, big head, what's going on? Reed Beans 365. That's what we calling it. Love you too, Bookie. All right, what's going on, Jan Herrera? Stardusty 2, what's going on? Greetings. It's getting better, Reed Beans. I ain't gonna say who Reed Beans is. You was in my dream yesterday. Me and my cat fell asleep listening. That's right. Hit that like button. I got a special invited guest here, Reed Beans. I know who you are. I know who you is. I try to avoid places like that. Right now I'm at Dunkin' Donuts. Having a coffee or whatever. Hold up. Your black man sent everybody to the cookout. Don't say y'all, because see, when you say y'all, you're making it inclusive and you're making it all inclusive. My individual, hey, Kendall St. Rose, what's going on? My grandson is I'm also Hawaiian, Korean, Chinese, and African American. Oh, wait, well, Hawaiian and Koreans are totally different. I'm talking about specifically Chinese people. I know the difference. We have a Koreatown in Manhattan. Yeah. We have 2 Chinatowns. We have 2 little Italys. Actually, 3 little Italys if you count the one in Brooklyn. We're all right, you know? I'm like this, not like this. Shut the hell up. I'm born as an American citizen, military. I got you. I'm Renato, I guess. I see you. I'm Renata, I guess. I'll send you some. Okay, well, the link's in the description. $STRINGERVELL80. But I didn't want to talk about that. I wanted to talk more about the inclusion of many different foreign entities that we've had in this country lately, in the past 20, 25 years specifically, that somehow or another seems that their destination is on being America's next top queen. You know, who can serve better? Where in fact that servitude mentality has been going with, I don't know, I'm going to say most African Americans, probably, I don't know, past 20, 30 years, but you will never be able to phantom the many times that I've seen immigrants just want to tap shoe the white folks. And the white people that they're tap shoeing for laugh at them behind their back. I've been witness to it several times. And I'm just like, yo, that's how you really feel? Yeah, that's how they really feel, you know? America will never turn their back on African Americans. You can try all the setups you want to, you can try all the smart ass shit you want to, whatever you want to do. Be glad that you're in this country. Be glad that you're in this country. Now, Hawaii, that's one of our provinces. Puerto Rico, because of a Maritime Act in the 1920s, a Jones Act to be specific, I implore all you to look it up. This is why they're the only country in Latin America that can actually come to the United States without having paperwork. Because of the Jones Act. The Jones Act was actually amended, I believe, further in 1926 or 1927. And that was turned into the Jones-Stafford Act, which added on a congressman from Maine, I believe. And they admitted it, but the whole bill itself is a maritime law. And it allowed Puerto Ricans to be citizens of the United States freely without green papers and all that stuff or whatever. Now, the rest of the Caribbean, where you have a lot of these different immigrants that are coming here and they feel like they can tuck their chest out, I want to remind you of something. First of all, my whole family is here throughout multitudes of states. Where the majority of you guys, you might have, I don't know, tops maybe 4 or 5. So all that tough guy stuff that you're trying to play, I'm from this country, I'm from that country. Nobody gives a shit. You're in our country. You understand what I'm saying? And you're going to adhere to our country. And if you think that you're going to follow some secret little plans to take over our country, you got another fucking thing coming. And we will fight you. Now, a lot of people disagree with Donald Trump. But one of the things I don't disagree with Donald Trump is building that goddamn wall. I think he should have built that wall. I think that wall should have been built. I think it needs to be laxed on immigration extremely. I've said this in front of Trump Tower now 5 or 6 times. Immigration needs to be halted in this country. And it needs to be halted steadily and fast. Because what you're going to see is during Biden's administration, they're going to open up the fucking floodgates. And a lot of things that Trump put in place, unfortunately, are going to be removed in that atmosphere. Now, you ask yourself, how does that affect you? If you're someone that's uneducated, and I don't mean uneducated, I mean you don't have a degree, you don't have a specialty like as I do myself or whatever. If you're not a person in that particular stream, you're going to have a problem. And it's going to put you in a category where you're doing blue-collar jobs. And once you're doing those blue-collar jobs, what's going to happen is you're going to be stuck in this threshold of $12 an hour if you live here in Connecticut. You're going to be stuck at about $15 an hour if you live in New York. Both of each one of those are not going to be able for you to afford your rent. You won't be able to get a mortgage. You won't be able to get a multitude of different things. I'm going to put this right here. So, being that that's the case, what happens is a lot of times, and I do mean a lot of times, you'll get people that get those jobs, and they somehow or another think they're somewhere in life. And most of the time they think they're somewhere in life because they've never had anything better. We're talking about people that don't have an education. We're talking about people that make up a small demographic of the United States, especially when we're talking about the voting poll. I think the last time I took check, Asian Americans make up something like 4% of this country, and that's all inclusive of Asian countries. Hawaii, sometimes in some demographics they'll include in Eastern Pacific Islanders, things like that. So they always put different people in contention when they talk about Asians. Asians can also be Indians, believe it or not, depending on where you live at. So a person phenotypically that you would think may be Indian, or phenotypically you may think be something else, can be from anywhere. It could be Thai, it could be, Laotian, you name it, A lot of times the Punjabi province, which is right outside of India, is mistaken for being Indian. They're not Indians, they're Punjabi people. It's kind of like a curtain between India and the Middle East, which we call the Middle East. Thank you, Red Beans 365. So don't be mistaken with what you call Asia, because a lot of people are inclusive in that dynamic of what you call Asia. Brown people and people with you would typically call phenotypically with slanted eyes. There's a lot of people inclusive in that Asian broad spectrum. Okay, that's not even my problem. My problem is when you get immigrants to come here, and for some reason or another, they believe that they can speak or say or talk or play little silly games with people. And I'm like, how dare you? How fucking dare you? And like I said, it might be a point where you're going to have to make a choice of whether or not you take some type of action, and whether that action, and I hate to say it like this, whether that action mirror what you saw at the Capitol building, or and I mean, and when I say the Capitol building, I don't mean go rush your local, Capitol, and be like, I want my rights, I'm an American, I'm not talking about that type of advocacy. What I'm talking about is the passive aggressiveness that's coming from a lot of different immigrants in the United States, and the consistency of immigrants kissing ass and tap dancing to try to, somehow fit in with whites, which is hilarious to me. And I know a lot of people, they get it and they understand. Y'all hit those like buttons. I appreciate it. I'm an immigrant coming from Trinidad. I tell you, man, that's why I listen to you, because the only people that ever stiffed me over and did me wrong was my own people. Kendall St. Rose, I want to pick up on that. Now, I said quite vividly, that I'm about that background too, partially. My mother is American. My mother grew up in Virginia and New York a little bit. And so that's her, But I can understand where that argument would come into contention. But at the same time, I'm not talking about those immigrants. I'm not talking about the immigrants that come here and they are like content with being here, work hard, do what they do, assimilate, get whatever the hell you want to out of life. I have no problem with that. The ones I have a problem with is, and I'm going to break it down a little bit more for y'all, there are people in the Caribbean, specifically Mexico. Let me use that as an example. This is why I said I was a proponent of the wall being built. I always have. I'm not going to sit here and pretend, and I'm going to tell you why. In California, specifically, in California, and my sister lives in California, and I think she'll vouch for this, you had a demographic switch that started happening about 15 years ago. Now, a lot of the proponent and a lot of the push of it was from gentrification. Let's not make any mistake of that, which was actually moving people that were traditionally in that neighborhood. They were both black and white, traditional Americans, in my contention, and I think most people will say that, traditional Americans, A lot of those people started getting shifted and moved out of their neighborhoods. And we saw this also in New York. I saw it here in Connecticut. I saw it in Jersey. I saw it even in Florida for a few minutes. As a result, what you have is you have a whole demographic and wave and generational, let's say that more so than anything, generational. And that's what happens in Connecticut, and I'll say some parts in New York too. In one particular part of Connecticut that I was in, which is Southeast Connecticut, I saw, and I lived there previously, I saw the whole demographic of the town literally change. And the reason that it changed was it was just a small increasement of rent. So where you, particularly previously, you could have went to these areas and got an apartment for maybe, let's say 700, 800, maybe possibly at max 900. Now, if you was paying 900, you had some nice stuff, all right? Well, those rents have now been raised, and now it's a $300 margin in between those previous prices. So if you were paying previously at the max 900, you can expect to pay for that same property now 13 to 14. Well, then again, let me tell you, the average person that's working in these facilities is only making $12 an hour. So as much as they pretend to you, oh, I'm doing great, I'm all right, everything's fine, you will find something deeper if you live up against that. Now, a lot of people in Connecticut right now are finding, and in the tri-state for that matter, are finding it hard to eat. A lot of people are finding it hard to find jobs that are over 4 or 5 hours a day. A lot of people are now making the conversion of where they used to work certain jobs, and they're finding that there's a little light at the end of the tunnel about being a truck driver or a CDL driver, whatever. And hats off to them, because we need them. Thank y'all for getting those groceries there. Thank y'all for coming out and getting, whatever we need. those drivers are responsible for getting it from point A as a distributor to point B or C in some cases. So we want to give our hats off for them. But every person in the world ain't meant to be a truck driver. I know some people that can't drive a car straight. So I definitely don't want to see you driving with a CDL, all right? I'm going to go back to what I'm saying. I want to answer some of these questions. I'm an immigrant coming from Trinidad, and I'll tell you, man, why I listen to you, because the only people that ever stiffed me over and did me wrong was my own people. I'm going to get into that right now. At the beginning of this video, you will find something, and you'll see a young man that was sitting in the doorway right there, and I started the video off with him in the angle. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to show you, and see, this is what I mean right here. Now, you see these two men just walked in, gave a quick listen. They're going to do it again, watch. Just got to give him a second. When he walked through the door, he looked at me like like I was in the wrong place. Ask him to order his whole order in English. I'll answer that for you. A lot of times when you get these brown people and they're coming from other countries, what they're doing is they're in competition with you. You are their competition. Now, in a normal world, they would come and realize that white folks are actually their competition, or people that have PhDs, or people that are above them economically, educationally, etc. But the way these folks think, they don't think like that. They think the same way they do in their countries, which is pretty much low-tiered. And what I mean by low-tiered meaning that the same way they acted in their country when it comes to the same way they acted in their country, I'm sorry. The same way they acted in their country, they bring over here. So I don't know if you guys know this, but in a lot of foreign countries, specifically India, I've been seeing this pop up a lot. India has a host of problems. You know, we a lot of times throw India in the spotlight because they have one of the biggest economic growths 2 years in a row, and China fell straight behind. A lot of factors fall into that. I'm not going to get into that. I'll get into more about, because everybody's always asking me about how I do my stocks and all that stuff. So I think that's a conversation for there, you know. So I'll say that for the stock conversation instead of this conversation. But I'm going to show you guys some more about fraction shocks and stuff like that or whatever, and how I do them when I particularly go in. I will tell you right now, if you're going to invest in anything, invest in Tesla and NIO, okay? NEO. Invest in those two. Start right there, all right? Right now, today, invest some money into those two particular stocks. I guarantee you'll see a gain. And sell quick. Like if you see a big gain, sell quick. Don't wait. Now, I want to answer what he said. A lot of times in India, what I'm saying is they have this epidemic of what this stuff called cake soap. You also see it in Jamaica, and you also see it in Trinidad, and of course Africa, right? And basically this cake soap, what it does is it knocks out epidermis of your skin. So basically you have about 3 main epidermis of your skin, which is the top layer, which is the most you see with the pigment and everything like that. Then you have a bottom layer, and then you have a third layer of your epidermis in your skin. That's the most protective one. That's the one that's meant to protect you from cuts and et cetera, et cetera. Well, when you alter with this soap, you're basically altering the pigmentation of your skin, okay? So this is a custom. There was a Jamaican artist, I forgot exactly what his name was. He did the same thing. He kind of like lightened his skin. I forgot what his name was. But there was another video that was floating around with this girl that actually took a bath in this stuff, okay? And like they literally took, I don't know if you guys saw it, they took a butter knife and they were just literally just knocking off the top epidermis of her skin in a bathtub. Anybody else ever seen that video? It's disgusting. That comes from, I know a lot of you people terminize it as self-hatred. I don't call it that. I call it an ambition to try to be something that you're not. If you're this complexion, you're never going to be anything other than Vibes Cartel. That's who it was. Thank you, Kendall St. Rose. You saw that, right? That was an amazing transformation. Vibes Cartel was my complexion. Sammy Sosa is another one from the Dominican Republic. He did the same thing. He looks like a fucking vampire now. You know what I mean? So I don't know, like, if you feel this is going to make you fit more in, or whatever the case may be. I'll say this and I'll say it again. I grew up mostly around Italians and Greek people. You know, I got an attitude, as y'all can tell, like an Italian guy. You know what I mean? That's just me. You know, that's just me. It's always going to fucking be me. Shout out to the Vocals. Shout out to Dimitris. Shout out to all those guys that I know down in Jersey, good stand-up dudes. And if you ever in Hoboken, make sure you go to Napoli on the Water. That's one of the best fucking restaurants right there. I've ate there all the time. Tell Joey and Dominic I sent you down there. Tell them Dab and Lewis sent you down there. All right, real good guys right there. Stand-up guys always have been. I stick by them 110% there. All right. So and as you can see by my complexion, there, I've never had a problem. So, you know, I like Italians that are like one generation off Italian, or, you know, that actually speak Italian. Like my friends, they're from Palermo, and I have some other friends that are from Napoli, and they speak Italian. You know what I mean? They don't, you know, fuck around with it. That's the guys out. Like I said, good guys. So if you're ever down in Jersey, make sure you stop down by that restaurant there that I just told you, Napoli by the beach. You're gonna love it. All right. So you asked me why I think it's your own. I think because they have a precedence to try to show off and become something that they actually aren't. And we've seen it from back in the days on the slave plantations. We've seen it beyond that. It's always something that's contentious that stays there with it. So it's not like it's something new. These are people trying to fit in. And what I'm trying to get to is these people do this in their countries. And that's what you're unbeknownst of. They do this in their country. There's a guy named, speaking of the Dominican Republic, is Sammy Sosa. Here's a guy, I want you guys to look him up. His name is Trujillo, or something like that. I don't know. I'm American. But whatever his name is, this guy was a president in the Dominican Republic back in the 40s, a little bit after Hitler. And he tried to do exactly what Hitler tried to do in Germany, which is eradicate everyone there that was like my complexion, that was Dominican. A lot of those people were at one time considered, if you want to, Haitian, French people. And what he did was he tried to eradicate and basically start the whole same thing that Hitler had just been stopped for in 1945 from proceeding in, and tried to invoke it on Dominican people. And he was almost successful. I don't know the numbers, but they were in the hundreds of thousands, almost close to millions that he killed, you know, basically trying to lighten the Dominican Republic in an effort to somehow or another make the people there feel more inclusive to white culture. Now, if you guys don't know anything about the Dominican Republic, let me break something down for you. The name itself, the Dominican Republic, got its name from a man named Dominguez. Dominguez was actually one of the German Dominican friars. I want you to look that up. Commissioned by the Spaniard Church, which is a European church. The German Dominican friars never had any intention on settling in the Dominican Republic and making it a place that was condescending with the inhabitants, if that makes sense. They made it as a mechanism and a machine. And for some reason or another, the people there and in many of these islands don't realize that these islands were used specifically for trade and commerce. If you need a better example of that, I would tell you to look up the British Indian Tea Company. They did trade throughout the Caribbean, specifically in Jamaica and Trinidad. This people consisted of, which I said before, Asians or Indians, or Indo-Asian, or Hindi. Some of these people still live in Jamaica. Some of these people live in Trinidad. Some of these people still live in many of the different Caribbean islands. Specifically, if you go to Peru, you will see people that are actually Chinese Peruvians. You know what I mean? Now look it up. I lied to you not. So when you say that, I think it's a fight and it's a run from trying to be anything than what they are based on a preconceived notion that everybody is racist. And everybody ain't racist. And I know that sounds crazy for me to say that, but when you come into the situation and you have that, or you have that preconceived notion of saying to yourself, my skin is brown, so I got to do whatever I got to do to fit in. That's not a thing of self-hatred. That's a thing of low self-esteem. You understand what I'm saying? So what we're dealing with is low self-esteem issues. We're not dealing with, and those low self-esteem issues, a lot of times don't come from society. They come from within your own household. I'll say that again. A lot of times those whole stigmas don't come from society. They come from within your own households. Now, India in particular has a problem, the same thing I mentioned with the cake soap thing. There's a section of what you would call dark-skinned Hindis. And then you have a section of what you would call the Punjabis and light-skinned Indian people. And there's a lot of racism that goes on throughout their own culture, contested with just that, dark-skinned and light-skinned. So a lot of times when I look at these people, I'm like, a lot of Hindi people exactly. A lot of them almost damn near look like they're African. You know what I mean? I've seen ones that are darker than me, and I want you guys to also look up this term. It's called Indian Caucasian. Look up that term, Indian Caucasian or Hindi Caucasian. You might be surprised by the meaning of that definition. I'll throw it in the community section for you guys too, but I want you to look up the terminology of that word, Hindi Caucasian or Indian Caucasian, and you might be surprised what you come up with. These people have been for decades now trying to literally unilaterally base themselves with Caucasian so bad that they went to that far. I know it's silly, but that's what they did. Now the rest of the world will laugh at them and think they're funny as hell, and think they're goofy, and be like, "Oh, okay, that's great," and they'll laugh with you and everything like that. But in reality, these people, once again, fall under that same category where they're having a confliction and a problem with their identity. Now, I've seen other psychiatrists talk about this, and they've talked about it not just now in our current situation here in the past 10 years, but I'm talking about this research that goes back to this 30, 40, 50 years ago of the effects of racism and the effects of the racism that they imply in these countries. It's way more worse. I mean, the only thing I can think of to really compare it to is the Tulsa incident in the 1940s in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which we all know that Black Wall Street or whatever. But it's also a lack of these actual people looking at TV or whatever they feel, or taking examples from ghetto people that they live around, because a lot of times when they come to America, they live around a lot of ghetto ass people. They don't realize that there's a lot of African Americans out here that will shut you down. Like, one of my biggest things is, I'm not going to argue with you. I'll just call INS. I'll have your ass up with paperwork for the next fucking 2-3 years if you want to fuck with me. That's how I do it. I don't sit there and argue with them or whatever, because there's no reason to argue with you. You're not American. So why am I arguing with you? You know what I mean? I will just call INS, call my buddies over to INS, and be like, hey, you know what? I think this one right here might be attached to this. And I will have your ass sitting up with paperwork and everything else for the next 2-3 years. And don't be in the contention of you're just now still doing paperwork. Oh, that might hold you back 10-15 years. See, that's the difference between being a Native American and a naturalized citizen. And I think a lot of motherfuckers in this country don't get that. They think it's nothing that comes with that. Now, you can giggle and all the little sarcastic shit or whatever, but let's take all the giggles and everything else out of the way, okay? Let's take all the giggles and the little high school mantra and all that shit. Let's take that to the side, and let's talk about reality. Now, reality is, once again, like I said, my birth certificate says America. Doesn't say a foreign country. Doesn't say an entity that's non-existent or doesn't have a national GDP or a GDP worth mentioning in any fucking way. No. My shit says red, white, and blue. I'm not going to be a problem with the INS. I'm not going to have any problems with proving my naturalization here in the United States. I'm not going to have an issue with speaking the language. I'm not going to have an issue with conveying something as simple as taking an order for a cup of coffee. Matter of fact, I'm not going to be 40, 45, 50, 55 plus working at a fucking coffee shop thinking that's the way life goes. But this is the type of people that you will get. You get them working in the grocery store, you get them working at CVS or whatever, and many times this is the biggest job that they've ever had in their life, and you have to realize that. You have to take that in contention when you are actually intervening with these people. These people come basically from nothing. You understand what I'm saying? And worse conditions than the roughest ghetto in the United States. So keep that in contention when you deal with them. Don't have any empathy for them. None. No empathy for them. No empathy whatsoever. If they get out of line, tear their asses up. You have to learn in this country, as my immigrant friend is sitting here listening to me so well, and I hope he does hear me. You have to learn in this country that somehow or another, as you joke and you laugh and he, ha, 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 I want to remind you of something. We have our cops. We have our senators. We have our judges. And you, in a small demographic like that, just hanging out in the street and talking shit and hanging in a coffee shop talking shit, doesn't mean anything. In fact, it's almost hilarious and funny. These men come to this country and they have their chest poked out like they belong here. So what I would tell all of you, and I'll repeat it again, when you see these moles and they get out of line with you, get loud with you, you got three choices. One I would suggest to you first, it's called INS. I'll put the number in the community section for you. Because we're going to be doing shits and giggles. Let's do some shits and giggles. Call INS. If you don't get a response from INS, which you usually do, especially in these times, the next thing I would tell you to do, and if you don't know what INS is, that's an acronym for Immigration Naturalization Services. This is the segue these motherfuckers have to go through before they're fully in this country. I would tell you to call them first. Next thing I would do is tell you to call Customs. They always love that. Then the third people I would tell you to call, most importantly out of anybody, is the Department of Defense. So if you have a neighbor next door, because a lot of these people, they sit here and they plot for years. So they'll sit there and they'll go to work with you and they'll smile with you, whatever. Next thing you know, you got your next suspect for the World Trade Center. You got your next suspect for a bombing at this place or that place. You got your next suspect for this or whatever. And all of a sudden, you thought that Muhammad, Mahdi, or whatever the fuck their names are, because they're not American names, you're thinking that they were your chums and your buddies at work. And these motherfuckers are about to blow up the same place that you frequent. Now, I have a friend of mine, Ruben, and many of y'all know, I mentioned before, his wife was actually caught in the World Trade Center when the Ezra was going down, and she was evacuated from there, and thank God she lived. She actually made the first page paper of the New York Post for that year, and she always puts it back up. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to put it up for you guys in the community section. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, no problem. The thing about it is, both times that the World Trade Center was hit, it was hit by immigrants that had been here for a while. We've had subsequently probably, and I know from talking to buddies I know that's still active duty in the military, probably, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 plus scares in just the past 5-10 years alone. They were credible. There's thousands of them, but credible ones that they had to intervene with, they happened. So those are three outlets I would tell you. Department of Defense, call Customs, and INS. Call them. Don't argue with them. Don't flatter them with giggles or whatever, because, like I said, these people are delusional. They think they fit somewhere in society, which they don't. And it's funny to me, but it's all about two things. Low self-esteem. The second thing would be, I would say, definitely trying to prove themselves, which is no problem. Come prove yourself. Prove yourself and, be a nurse or whatever blue-collar position you like. It's up to you. I have no problem with that. But don't come here and pretend that you're better than the inhabitants and the people that are here or you're above them. Then you're going to find yourself in a really big problem. So outside those three suggestions I gave you, if you don't have time to do those, if you don't have time to do those, thank you, Red Beast. If you don't have time to do those, I'm going to give you three other options. First option is beat the shit out one of these motherfuckers if you have to. Second suggestion is if you can't beat them because they got 2 or 3 with them, go home, rally up about 8, 9, 10 of your boys, and then find them. The third thing I would tell you to do, and I'm not imploring that you do this or suggesting that you do this, but if you want a consideration, the third thing I would do be, in the fine words of Jay-Z, just kidnap the bitch. But other than that, that's all I got to say about that. There's really not talking about it. Like I said, I'm not a real big proponent of today's immigrant versus 30 years ago. That immigrant, I think that immigrant from 30 years ago had a march on when they came to this country. And it was something that was respected. I think it was something that was admired or whatever. These immigrants that you have coming here from the past 20 years are bent on no more and directed no more but by greed, percepted mantras of being rich or opulent, which in many cases they equal up to a teenager at 20, you know what I mean? I know teenagers at 20 that are making more than these guys that are 40, 50 years old, but it's cool, You're not impressing me with a Subaru, you're not impressing me with a Camry or any of that shit or whatever. So I other than that, I can't do it. Well, let me read some of these comments because I want to hear what you guys have to say. And write in the chat what you think. Let me see who's all there. Hey, Patrice, what's going on? That's my girl right there. Always live below what you make. You always live below what you make. You in VA? All right, that's what's up. I've been caught for over 20 years as a black woman. Okay. Let them know, Reed Beans. I've been caught. This is what she says. I've been caught for over 20 years as a black woman. They know better than black, specifically black women, huh? Yeah, they better. They better. I hope they do. I'm an immigrant coming here. I read his. And salute to you, Kendall St. Rose. I appreciate your comment. But I put in work and have a family now. And most of my friends now are Americans only. They keep it 100 with me, as they should. Reed Beans, and I mean Kendall St. Rose, I don't have any problem with that. As I said once again, it's the contention of you're going to come here and act like as if you're better than people or you somehow made the mark. And when we do the equation, economically you don't, educational-wise you don't, socially you don't. And most factors, most of these people that are working these blue-collar jobs nowadays, and I hate to say it like that, and that's including a lot of these nurses that supersede their position too, because my mother was a nurse, an LPN and an RPN, and ended up having her own office eventually. And I can tell you like this, there's a wide spectrum, like a really wide spectrum when it comes to nurses, people that work in the medical field, all right? So you're getting a lot of people that are either ill-trained, lightly trained, or in some cases, just an assistant, you know what I mean? Calling themselves a fucking, what do you call it? What's the term again? Y'all correct me on the term. I forgot. I haven't said it so long because it's so stupid. Essential worker. You're not an essential worker. You're no more than a trash man. This is somebody with an inflated view of their position. You know what I mean? Which used to happen in our world too. When I was in all those offices, it was the same thing. I've worked with so many people that had inflated egos of what their position and their job position actually offered. You work in the marketing department with me. That doesn't mean that you're a marketing master. That doesn't mean that you're the CEO of marketing. Our boss is the CEO of marketing, you know what I mean? As far as this company is concerned, with the record company. So I completely hear you. Man, you're speaking the truth. That's how I be feeling. Well, that's what I'm here for. I speak how y'all feel. Oh, and they be arrogant. That's what Timothy Pearson said. So y'all not disagreeing with me. And out of 7,000 people that I got following me here, I don't think everybody's going to have the same contexture I do. And one thing I'll say about that to prove that was in the past 30 times that I've been up to Trump Tower now and done my lives, whether it's been in a sea of 30 or 40 cops, which y'all saw that one time, or in a sea of men with AK-47s or whatever, those men up there respect me when I come up there. That's one thing you will say. The man that did detail for all those guys from NSA was a black gentleman. He was the one I first met. And at first he stopped. He said, "Hey, aren't you the one from don't I see you at I was going to say Bean and Lee Starbucks in the morning?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "What are you filming?" I said, I do lives, and at the time I was doing them on Facebook. This was before I took off here on YouTube. And ever since that point, we've always had like this segue of friendship. You know what I mean? With that gentleman. I'm not going to say his name because he asked me not to. I'm taking pictures with this gentleman that y'all can see, and I put them up or whatever. But he is the head of NSA at there. I'm not sure if he's going to be there anymore now that Trump's not president. I have not been up to Trump Tower since Trump took off. What was that? This past Wednesday, to Mar-a-Lago down in Florida. So I don't know what the setup will be for that when I go back up there. I don't know if it's going to be a new detail of men. Usually when you have a president leaving, that detail usually stays, especially right after the constituency is ended. So you'll probably see that branch of Secret Service, NSA, or whatever, protecting him for the rest of his natural life, including at Trump Tower. They should play Papa, Don't Preach by Madonna. You stupid. I've been Black America 45 years. I hear that. Give you some warm mouth. I don't know what that means. I'm going to lick your eyebrow. I've been doing that. You're just catching up on my back. They've been doing that. No, I'm not just catching up. I'm just now speaking about it. And that's the difference. See, I had this argument with somebody else, and they tried to, I don't know what that means, but I had somebody else try to tell me something like that or whatever. And this is where you check the weather, right? So you ask someone, I didn't like the way this motherfucker just looked at me. Watch this. So you ask someone, and the first thing you ask them is this. You say, okay, now watch this motherfucker look at me. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. If you had someone that is from an immigrant status, and you say to yourself this, you say, hey, can I or can't I? No, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. That's me. That's me. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not gonna say that. Let me reword that. Give me 2 seconds. You say we. You say we, right? So I'm going to say one more time, okay? And I want you to listen, okay? Listen very clearly, okay? You have what is called an inflated ego, like many of here, an inflated ego of their actual job positions, you know? You're not the only one that goes to work, okay? I know they've been telling you you're the only one, but you're not, okay? 2, I worked at record labels for over 16 years, okay? I worked with a man that's now worth $895 million. That's profit, okay? So you can't tell me nothing about working, all right? And to be quite honest with you, I've been all around the country probably 10 times over. I've stayed in the best of places or whatever, and I've always had to deal with this. So what I really mean is I'm just speaking about it now. No, that's not a black meal. Black meal is not salmon. What is a black meal salmon? Okay, you sound kind of silly now. I might have to get you up out of here because you sound kind of silly now. I need a black meal. It's a black meal. that. Come on, man. You gotta do better than that, right? I tell you, a black meal. Salmon's a black meal. I didn't know that. We gotta tell the people of Alaska. I'm sorry. Because that's where you catch most salmon in Alaska. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just me. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make fun of you. But that's mozzarella. Mozzarella cheese and onions. Mozzarella cheese is Italian, sweetie. Yeah. Mozzarella cheese is Italian. And onions is just for anybody, okay? That's not a black meal, all right? If you're cooking something from Africa, listen, my ex was Ethiopian. I've had Ethiopian dishes. That's a black meal, all right? Red beans, I don't know what you're talking about right now. She's shooting her shot. Red beans, we're gonna talk though. We're gonna talk. Hit me up at FORMERBBE@yahoo.com, all right? I ain't gonna tell you my social media and all that because you seem like a barracuda. She said some warm. I got you, mama. Nah, I need some warm pockets. I ain't even worried about no J right now. I'm worried about getting my pockets right again, you know? It's also Reed Beans. I know that name. See, that name right there throws me a little too, because Reed Beans might be a fella behind the screen. You know what I'm saying? Don't let that fool you. There'll be a lot of fellas on here. You in PA? Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, my grandfather's from Philly. I said that a couple times on here. My grandfather's from Philly, born and raised. You know what I mean? It's rough streets down there, especially the days he grew up. You know, he grew up in the times when Lucky Luciano and all those guys were down there in the street. That's a fact. My grandfather had a couple pictures of some of the guys, old timers who used to be down there in Philly. You know, so I don't know what part of Pennsylvania specifically you live in, but in Philly, definitely. That is a definite. And see, once again, we're talking about America. And we're not talking one generation back. We're talking a couple generations back. You know, feel good about yourself this morning, man. As an American citizen, just you see somebody just go like that and give them a salute. You know. Okay, where they at? I'm. You know what? Listen, my grandfather's dead, so I hope you ain't taking a shot at my grandfather. So you like me? I don't know, mama. Send me a couple pictures of you. It's FORMERBBE@yahoo.com. Former Bad Boy Entertainment at yahoo.com. Just hit me up with some pictures of yourself. I can't see your picture right there, so I don't want to say yes or nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah, she a real one, but you know, like, there's this one chick, like, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Like, this is one chick, she came, I think her name's Vivian. She came on yesterday, on the live I did yesterday, and she was talking about, we was talking about Ethiopian women. And she was like, yo, I'm gonna plug you, come out of DC. I'm not really, like, Okay, how can I say this? If y'all go through my pictures and stuff like that, y'all seen I've been everywhere, including foreign. So it's like it's nothing to me to travel somewhere. I travel all the time. As y'all can see, I'll be in Jersey one day, I'll be back in Connecticut, then I'll be in New York, and I'll be back in Connecticut. Like I move, I don't sit still because what I do requires me moving. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. But one of the particular things I say here without going too off course is somebody came in my live yesterday. It was one person, Vivian, then there was some other guy, I think his name was Timothy or something, and he was asking me, he's like, yo, you don't ever try to link with none of the girls? And I'm like, nah, not really, like, that's not really my thing per se, you know what I mean? So it's like, I kind of keep contention over like not doing that, because I think once I start that, it's no really walking back from it, you know what I'm saying? But you rep men's hold them up top. Thank God you ain't left with a kid. No, I don't have any kids. I don't have any kids. And one of the things I don't want to have is I don't want to have any kids that are bastard kids. Is that the best way to say it? Like I've never been into bastard kids, and you have to be real careful who you have kids with, When you have kids with a woman, you got to remember at that point, you're now not only embedded with her, but you're embedded with her family. And the family genome that they can have, maybe 3 off from, a lot of things, mental retardation, you name it, inbreeding, you know what I'm saying? I've seen that before too, especially out in Southeast Connecticut. Let me tell you a little story real quick. There are 3 different surrounding towns. So there's one called Norwich, there's another one, Ockham, and then there's another one, Taffville, right? And all 3 of these towns are known for prostitution, drugs, and inbreeding, local cousin fuckers. You know what I mean? And so the town has always had a reputation for that. It goes back 100 plus years or more, One of the particular towns that I talk about, which is Norwich, Benedict Arnold was actually from there, believe it or not. Look at this coon. Watch a Asian coon. I love it when they do what they do. You gotta let her do what they do. As it should be killing me. Anyway, long story short, you get a lot of in Southeast Connecticut. You get a lot of cousin. I know you don't mean no harm, Red Bean. Send me a picture though. I need some pictures, man. I don't know your I know you don't know my granddaddy. No, you wouldn't have. He died when I was what? Gee, I'm trying to think. I think I was like 16 or 17 when my grandfather died. And about 16, 17 when my grandfather died. Good goddamn man though. Didn't take no crap from nobody. Get fight you in a minute and everything else. He died as a mortician. He also a serviceman. All my uncles, every last one of my uncles, and I think 4 of my great aunts and 2 of my aunts all served in the military. My mother, she comes from the times where people had a lot of kids here in the States, so that's my mother's mother. I never got to meet her either, so I can divulge that to you. That's nothing. I just checked black people who want our colors but don't want us. Well, it's not even that. It's born off a style per se. You know what I mean? Like, I'll use a perfect example for you. Maybe this will make you understand. When I first heard reggaeton music, right? I said, this ain't nothing but soca music. If many of y'all know the Caribbean, y'all know soca music and reggaeton sound a lot alike. You know what I mean? So reggaeton actually borrowed from Latin culture, which is Cuban. They borrowed from Jamaican Trinidad. They definitely borrowed from ska, which is, most people would say is a European version of reggae music to a certain extent. And they definitely borrowed from reggae, which you can tell by the beats, everything. So it's borrowed, and there's nothing wrong with that. Then I started hearing Latin trap. And I said, hold up, this sound like the boys in Chicago. This sound like the boys down in Florida. And then I started hearing the Latin rappers rap over it, like as if they were from Chicago or Florida or whatever. But the things they were saying in it were identical to what these boys in the situations they were going in Chicago, Texas, a lot of other people that did trap. It will never, and it hasn't, evoked or took precedence or even in the charts, Billboard-wise, gone past American hip hop. I doubt that would it's a lot of different reasons why that wouldn't. But they're riding off of it. I've seen, I don't know how many Puerto Rican and Latin dudes run around, yo, my nigga this, nigga that, try to talk like they ghetto black and everything like that. And then they'll get around some black dudes and secretly say little slick shit. But I'm like, okay, hold up. Let me get this right. You trying to be me, but you don't like me. Now, how the fuck does that work out? That's what I say about this whole thing of identity crisis. Many of these people that come to this country have identity crisis. It's like, I knew my cousin said something. He said, you drive Chinese, you dress Italian, and you speak white, but you're Puerto Rican. I don't know. I don't get it either. I don't have that identity crisis. There's so many people that are foreign nationalities that come to this country and do have those identity crises. And I think that when you deal with them or you intervene with them, you have to keep that in order and in mind. You really do. So, we're not here to insult people or anything like that, but we're just here to state out the obvious. And I can see by you guys' responses, y'all see the same thing that I say. Don't put my culture on Dems, light skins, the Dems. You qualified to open up as an account as a U.S. Navy credit union. Would jump on that in the climate. I know they would. You got to worry about that. She said, you qualified to open up an account at the U.S. Navy credit union. I would jump on that in this climate. I know. The only thing about taking Navy credit loans is that Navy credit loans, they give you a good interest rate, but once that interest rate starts occurring, you're now paying more interest than you are the damn principal. You understand what I'm saying? So if you borrowed $4,000, I think it's I'm not sure what the durations are before the interest. They give you a pre-interest rate, and then they give you a finalized interest rate once you get to a certain point. But a lot of times you're better off going to a regular bank, I think. You know what I mean? Instead of dealing with credit unions. Credit unions also, they can do, especially military credit unions, they can do a thing where they can have you in tangles for years, if not decades. Okay, Ashley, you said you agree, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I've seen guys that have taken, like one of my friends, Izzy, he took a Navy credit loan, and when he took his Navy credit loan, he had served, I believe it was, I think he did 8. And when he got his Navy credit loan, he bought some dumb shit. Like he went and got a used Hummer, he went and got a motorcycle, whatever. And now the interest is occurring on that same loan now. And, it's real cute when you're in your 30s or early 40s, but now it's starting to invoke where, as he gets older, he's going to owe that same money. But the interest is kill you more than anything. Even with my school loan. Yeah. I know I can. Yeah, I know. I don't think it's all about that anymore. I like what she just said. She said, so blacks who were taken away from their heritage, right? Yeah, we all know that story, No, stay here, because I'm actually reading something that you said. Yeah, that's true, and we all know that story, but now we're here in 2021, and we're beyond that. You understand what I'm saying? Hey, Eliza Diaz, we're beyond that. So now it's a point of the same things that you're preaching against, you're now teaching your children in the household. You understand what I'm saying? You better be scared. Don't you talk like that. And I'm not saying all parents, but a lot of parents do. They'll carry on these traditions that they've been carrying on and saying to themselves that were relevant maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago in that climate, but they're not relevant now. You understand what I'm saying? We live in a time right now where, as quickly as I'm on here talking to you guys every day, all 7,000 of you, it can fluctuate, and tomorrow I only have 10 people listening to me, depending on what I say. You understand what I'm saying? So when you say someone is taken away from that, I would say this: it depends on what you're saying, and it depends on what you're invoking in your child. It depends on what you're placing in your child. That is now dependent on you. And if you have raised, I don't know, I'm going to speak for my parents. My parents and the influence I had around me from my aunts and uncles and everything like that, these people were very successful people. Like I said, my third grade English teacher was my aunt. You know what I mean? My other aunt, she teaches autistic kids. I have another aunt that's a teacher. I have another aunt that lived in Europe for many of years. My Aunt Geraldine, God bless her. She knew how to speak French and Italian, and that was like in the 1950s and 60s. You know what I'm saying? My Uncle Bernard, same thing. That's my dad's brother and sister. So, excuse me, my grandfather's brother and sister. So, I get that, I think what more people have a problem with is that, but they'll only be. I don't think that's the case. I think what you need to do is you need to teach and evoke your kids in some strength and stop making them weak. Like a lot of people, they give examples and they give literature and they give excuses for things that were 50, 60, 70 years ago are not relevant now. Like, it's just not. Like, I don't have an argument. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. People will talk about Black Wall Street, right? And they'll put that paramount in their conversation. Black Wall Street was a story. Black Wall Street was a story. It's Tulsa, Oklahoma. They never talked about the angle of when it was rebuilt. Yes, it was rebuilt. And many people don't even know that. That's the funny thing about it. It was rebuilt. And it was more prosperous than it was previously. You see what I'm saying? So at that point, it's a choice of what you want to talk about. You understand what I'm saying? And which one is more paramount to you? Which one is paramount as far as conveying to your son or your daughter or whatever? And based off what you have fed them, what they run with from that point on. It's not hard.
Pouring on the music and feeling good. Today's
I don't particularly think that what I see nowadays is I see a lot of African Americans taking on the position of being racist because they think it's cool. Or I'll be racist back, and the way they're doing it and the way they're invoking it doesn't work the same way. So what I would suggest is instead of trying to be sarcastic or trying to raise awareness when we need to march again this week for whatever reason, which I've told you guys, and I'll tell you guys again, I've told you twice in front of Trump Tower, I've told you 4 or 5 times here in Connecticut and New York, and I'll tell you again, do not march for the next month and a half, because as you can see, you're going to get grouped in with these Antifa groups, and everybody else is out here marching right now and are in contention with the Capitol rioters that they had up there, and the insurgents. You know what I mean? Prejudice live with all cultures. Every culture is prejudiced. That one I can't live with. The government board drugs. Well, okay, you guys got to say something new though. I'm going to say good night and hurt you. Okay, let's get her out of here. Something's wrong with that one. Let's get you up out of here. Yeah, I don't fuck with that shit. Yeah, Reed Beans had to go. Sorry. That was just... Reed Beans is a perfect example of how to disrupt a good conversation. Have you not noticed the whole time that I've been sitting here, she has talked about sexual innuendos, I need to get up with you, I need to call you, I need to do this, whatever. No, you don't. Let me just block you. You know what I mean? We're good. Pay loan on time, pay more months, interest goes down. We all know that trick. But say if you only got 25 hours this week, and last week you got 64. You still have that same mentality? Exactly, you don't, because it didn't work like that with my school loans either. You know what I'm saying? I paid off one of my school loans completely, and you need to have money. That's right. You need to have the money. So, that's a good thing, and I think a lot of people say that, I'll just pay double it, and it sounds good when you're doing the interaction and signing the paperwork and all that stuff, and then as soon as the reality kicks in, and you're like, okay, I need to make a pimp decision. Do I pay this $175 towards this loan, or do I take that $175 to pay this heat bill because it's the middle of January? You know what I'm saying? Chances are you're going to pay that heat bill instead of paying that school loan. Or you'll give them a call like this. I know I'm $175, but y'all take 58. I got $58. Don't worry about it, nigga. Ain't your heat anyway. I'll give you the rest next month. You know how we do. Black, white alike. We do that in this country. Can I put something on it? Shit, now, especially now with these times with this COVID and people not working right as they should be, and people that proudly have positions such as myself now finding themselves unemployed and screwed. Sometimes you got to bet on yourself. Go hustle where Krell is, buy a truck and make it work for you. Hey, listen, I was just talking about that CDL shit earlier. I'm no truck driver, okay? I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Since I was 22 years old, 21 going into 22, I worked for Bad Boy Entertainment. I know that, Assy, chill. I worked for Bad Boy Entertainment. I went through all 3 distributors that they went through, including Interscope, Arista, which is BMG, Burleson Music Group, in Atlanta. And Atlantic, excuse me, I said Atlanta, Atlantic. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I just spent the Hey, Sincerity, what's going on? I done spent most of my life in hotel room, my adult life, hotel rooms, drinking drinks, promoting alcohol at the same time with Ciroc and Dion, which is our two brands for the company. Um, Going to opening events, going to artist drop parties, and pretty much doing whatever the hell I wanted to do and getting paid for it. You know what I'm saying? So that's how the majority of my life has been. So for me to go from there and then turn into a truck driver, that don't make sense. I'm not a truck driver, sweetie. And I know that that's a hustle that many of y'all are going for. I know that's a hustle that many of y'all are going for nowadays, this whole CDL license shit. But that's not for me. And I don't feel that destitute to now segue myself and be like, okay, this is going to be my next career. I'm going to be a truck driver. And for all we know, once this thing is, Ashley, you're fine. Just listen to what I'm saying. So once this whole thing is over, now you have the contention of, okay, am I still going to be just as needed as a truck driver now that the pandemic is over? And I have to say, no, I don't think you will. I think those seasoned drivers that were there before the pandemic and that was their work, I think they will now supersede because those are seasoned drivers. You understand what I'm saying? I'll say again, like I said earlier, I know some motherfuckers can't drive their four-door car straight. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm definitely not trusting you with a CDL driving something that's on 18 wheels that can cut through you like a freaking can opener. You know what I'm saying? People don't understand how hard it is to be and have to figure out a new career. It is, and I will talk about that. Like I said, and I'll say again, I worked for those companies for over 16 years, well documented. Everybody knows me. Y'all see everybody within that world talk about me, so we're not making up anything, you know. And right now, I'm a regular citizen, as you want to say, and I'm cool with that, you know. But at the same time, it's like that is my history, and I can't avoid it. I don't have pictures in history of myself and work career standing next to a semi truck. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have a history in my work career where I didn't go to college. I don't have a history in my. I had to get rid of Red Bean. She was doing too much. I don't have a history of working in a coffee shop. I don't have a history. I have a history of working in the music entertainment industry, promoting artists, drinking whatever the hell I want to, eating whatever the hell I want to, and having fun. So now, yes, I am finding myself in a dilemma where, because of the pandemic and everything else that attributed to it, I'm now, like many other people, having to rethink and redo what I do. Now, right now, since of my popularity here on YouTube, it stands as testament that this is still media. That's what I was doing previously, was media. So maybe I need to stay here. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'll tell you why I say that. I see guys like Tommy Sotomayor, and I know that's the worst example I can get, right? But Tommy Sotomayor, who else? Royce Watkins, and a lot of these guys that have been online. Who else is a good person to give? Joe Rogan, who know how to deal with Sirius satellite radio for a very lucrative amount of money. And there's many other people that were on YouTube and they had a message or whatever and they put it out there. I put my whole story out there, you know? I don't hide, I don't lie, which y'all can tell, I don't lie, I don't exaggerate, I don't do any of that stuff. And now that I've had, maybe 10 plus podcasters mention me, everybody tells me how when they search up Jaguar, right, I come up because Jaguar really gave me my start, to be quite honest with you. So to be real, I think I'm going to stay in this stratosphere for right now. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's right. Keep your ninja start going. Mitch Bay, what's going on? And I missed your message this morning too. I was man, listen, I was so tired. You already know the setback. I was so tired yesterday. I hadn't slept the whole day. Like everything that was going on, there wasn't no time to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So I'm used to that from working with Bad Boy. Like I might get an hour and a half sleep in the van when we were somewhere, or in the hotel lobby when we were somewhere. Then it's like, boom, back to, especially if it's an events thing, that's what it usually is. So it's Memorial Day weekend, All-Star weekend, all those things, whatever. We're always constantly and continuously moving, because one event might end in an hour and a half, and then it's on to the next event. You know what I mean? So that's how it is. But yeah, I definitely think that I'm gonna stay here on YouTube. I think I'm gonna keep doing that. Yeah, I was only live for a few minutes last night. I didn't particularly stay live for too long. I just wanted to
put something out there, and that was it. Sometimes I do that. I'll just impromptu go live, and it won't last for a long time. Like this one right here, I have for an hour, but sometimes it'll go for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. I did one. My boy said, "Yo, it's long like a movie." I did one for like 3 hours yesterday, so that was cool. And you notice in this whole hour, I only mentioned my links one time. Y'all notice that? I'm talking about the subject. So if you guys want to donate, it's $STRINGERBELL80, and PayPal links in the extension. And I'm also going to throw up a video a little bit later today because I started a new GoFundMe. The one that I had, I told you guys all about that. Somebody made a fake one, collected the money. I'm thanking God that some of those people that were followers of mine, they received their money back. And if you did, make sure you write that in the comment section and let me know if GoFundMe sent you your money back. I really want to know that because they refunded everybody. Somebody had made a fake account of mine and claimed that they were collecting money from me, and they got somewhere up like $1,400+. And when I went to go take my money, because the way GoFundMe works is you can't have so much money in there, and you have to have points where you take money out. And so they ask you to do this that way. I guess they don't have to give you a huge payout. It's not a huge transaction depending on what you collect. And some people collect like 40,000, 50,000, even more on it. So what I did was I was trying to cash out my own, and then they let me alone. They said, "Well, sir, is this yours too?" And I was like, no. And evidently that person had to do a transaction. So where they fucked up at was they didn't have the same route number as me for starters, and they didn't have the same bank. And they looked at it and they said, okay, so they called the bank verified it. Then they did a couple strings of things. It took altogether to like a month, all right, for them to do their investigation. Now I'm thinking because of the pandemic and stuff too. So they refunded all them people their money back. So if you got your money back, let me know and donate it to the right thing. So the links are in the description, StringerBell80 and PayPal. That's why I'm using those two. Because if you can't make up my Cash App name, you can, but who will want to? But StringerBell80 and PayPal, those are the two. More preferably, if anything, just hit those. Don't hit nothing else. And if you do donate, ask me if that's the one you should be using first. I want to make sure. Kendall saying, bro, stay safe and good, continued bless. Thank you, Kendall. I appreciate it. Thanks for checking in. And we're going to pick up more on that subject too, Kendall. So make sure you come back here. Thank you so much. Stick to your objective. You said over and over, you're not a truck driver. Exactly. I know what I'm talking about. Star Peppermint with me from day one. You know what I mean? My bad texting with my son in my hand. That was okay. That's all right, brother. And see, I like that anyway. Brother said, I got my son in my hand. I want a kid so bad. I really do. I really, really want a kid. But I think I'll make a great dad. Especially, I know I'm going to be an older dad, and that's cool with me. I prefer to be an older dad. My dad was an older dad. I prefer to be an older dad than a younger dad, because I think a younger dad, I mean, like, yeah, you can teach your kids some shit, but you got to have experience to be a good dad, good uncle, in my opinion. I'm not one of those guys that was having kids and forth. My mother would have killed me if I would have been 13, 14, 15 years old. I wouldn't even have to worry about my dad. My dad probably would have accepted it. My mother would have been like, you getting the hell up out of here. You know what I mean?
With unlimited video meetings and team messaging, it's everything you need to stay.
My bad texting my son in my hand. That's quite all right. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this. Like I said, links are in the description. I don't want this to be too long. I just want to talk on that topic. And I will repeat again, if you do have a problem with any of these immigrant climates or them trying to be passive aggressive with you, I would say to you one more time, call an INS, for starters, Immigration Naturalization Services. Second thing I would tell you to do is call the Department of Defense. If you feel one of these immigrants is being too passive aggressive and they may have some type of, intention. And the third person I would tell you to call is, more importantly, would be your local NSA or military provider. Those people are the three places you need to go through as a segue when you're having problems with your immigrants. And they get just a little too cocky and a little too fucking comfortable. All right? This is not your country. You are a visitor here. And as long as you remember that and you are contentious and nice to everyone that's here, not just kissing the ass of white people, then we're fine. But you're not going to come here as a new immigrant and show your ass. I got something for you, and the rest of us do too. He didn't show up, amazingly enough. I'm glad you asked that question, Star Pepper. He did not show up last night, and I can't tell you how relieved I was. He didn't show up. He didn't show up, period. and I was relieved that he didn't show up. I don't know exactly if he got, what I was talking about the music earlier. Listen to this. Now, y'all know in my videos right down below, I worked with 3 producers that have worked with Shakira. They recorded me, and so it's funny. But if you hear the sound of, I'm gonna go back to what she was saying. But you hear the sound of it there. That's hip hop. She's even got Wyclef on it. Same thing with Jennifer Lopez. These Latinos have gotten rich off our culture, and then they want to act like they're better than the culture itself. It's fucking hilarious. Wyclef did this. And most of the rest of our album was done by Wyclef or black artists or black engineers or black producers. So anyway, to answer that question, he didn't show up last night. He didn't show up. Now, that's not to say he's not going to show up today, and coincidentally, his bag is still there. I don't know why. But I'm hoping he doesn't show up. I was supposed to hang out with somebody today, so it doesn't matter. Right now, I think I'm just going to take off and go about my day. You know what I mean? Shout out to that person I was supposed to hang out with, but they didn't, they didn't tap with me or whatever. Oh, what? Annette, what the fuck? I ain't even gonna tell y'all what just happened. Annette, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See what happens when you just yourself and stop trying to pretend like you're something you're not? I don't have to pretend like I'm nothing I'm not. This is who I am. Thank you, Annette. Thank you. Y'all gonna have to excuse me when I say this. Y'all never seen Hustle and Flow? You remember that part when they was recording the song or whatever? And she brought in the lava lamp and just stopped the whole flow? What did he say? That's a bottom bitch for you. Motherfucking. That was God and Annette Foster. And you too, Mitch, babe. If y'all don't know, even when I get back like that, see that 4-door Porsche right there? Even when I get back like that, I'll never be a cocky motherfucker. I never have been. And I was glad my man was on there the other day to validate that. I've never been cocky. I've never been nasty to people. I never, most of the time, he told y'all on camera himself without me even, I never told nobody I work for Bad Boy. I never did. I used to keep it to myself, like literally keep it to myself. So people wouldn't ask me for favors. People wouldn't, try to be friendly with me because they thought they was going to get something out of it or whatever. I never told people I was working with a record company. There was always somebody else that would tell their friends that I work for a record company. And then the same thing I was trying to avoid, they would come with. Like, I can show y'all my inbox. I'm going to do a mobile zine of it again in case y'all didn't see it. But if y'all just scroll in the community section, you'll see it. I literally have, I think it's something like 3,000 plus friend requests. I've had thousands of people send me songs. I'm gonna listen to some of the songs because, like I said, some of those songs might be good actually. I just don't know, but it's always from people that I don't know. I have like 5,000 people that follow me on Facebook, so it's like it's hard to figure out who's who and what's what and everything else. But yeah, man, shit's crazy. It's crazy, guys. I just got blessed. And it was wild because last night I was worried about, is this dude gonna be here? I really don't feel like it. And I think that's what Mitch Babe was saying. Yeah, that's right, y'all. Like this page. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. That keeps me in the flow of things. You ain't got to donate, but just please hit the like button. I never stress anybody to donate or get in, try to contribute any way that you can't afford or can't do. That's fine, I like y'all just being here. But if y'all here, hit those like buttons for me, just like Miss Babe said. Miss Babe is tight with me, and that Foster is tight with me, so I ain't gonna you'll never, please clip this part. You will never have me up here acting anything other than myself, even when I'm back right the way I want to be right. You understand what I'm saying? And we're gonna have a party when I move into my next spot. We're doing that live for I swear to God, it's gonna be my first 6-hour live. I've already got it pointed in. I got a bottle of champagne that my friend gave me for Christmas was the year before last. I never opened. My friend from England, she gave it to me, Gina, when she came from England to visit me. She visited me for 3 days when she came over. And it was her and her friends. Shout out to them over in England. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna tell you exactly where they live at, but she's always over on the page with me. Star Pepper, she's from England, but she live in DC. You know what I'm saying? So I looked at my demographics, and I think I cover something like 3.5% of the market, and in Europe it's something like I think it's a little bit more than that in Latin America, but most of my viewers are from literally America and amazingly enough, Africa. I have something like 12% of the people that listen to me are from Africa, that region of Africa, according to the YouTube studio. So that's like freaking amazing. I'm not out for views. I'm not necessarily out for listening. Like I said all the time, I just want the information to get out there. And y'all ain't got to say, oh, well, I got it from him or her or whatever. I don't care about that. Just get the information out. That's more important than anything, you know? So it was what we were talking about today with immigration and my points of view, which I think many people will agree. Whether you're a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter, there has to be something done about immigration. There's too many people immigrating to this country right now. And that precedence is getting taken off native-born Americans and their struggles and being put in the highlights of the struggles of foreign countries and descendants of foreign lands. And I don't know what part of America we got to it like that, but I'm not with it. And I know many other Americans that are not with it either. So for the basic immigrant or the basic liberal that likes to kiss immigrants' asses for sexual reasons or whatever reasons you want, fuck you. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. Fuck you. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I will talk to you later, and I'll be back. And I hope he doesn't need a Star Pepper. Star Pepper, what part of England are you from again? Because I know you say you're from England, but you live in D.C. And please send me an Ethiopian woman. I'm talking about these immigrants. American, though. Anyway, they're beautiful. God, so beautiful. Anyway, guys, I'm off of here. I'm going to drink the rest of my coffee, have me a cigarette, and enjoy the rest of my day and lay my ass down and fill out some paperwork that I got to do online. I got two more emails to make sure that's covered. And I've also been tagging the hell, as y'all can see in the community section, to the governor with my videos. So if you don't know, just hit my name, Davin Lewis, swipe over to where you see community, hit that button, and then scroll through there, and there's a whole bunch of other posts in there. In the description box and also in the pinned comment, you'll find all the links to all my social media that I use for collections as well as donations. So that's PayPal and Cash App, which is $STRINGERPELL80. And also you'll find in the pinned link in the comments. And also like, share, and subscribe. Especially with a lot of the other bloggers that are bigger than me. Share me to them, tag them in it. Share me in your community section. Only thing you have to do is hit my whatever live it is or whatever post I put up. Just hit that, hit share. It'll be that little thing, and when you see a thing that says create a post, it'll be right at the top red. Just use that and share it with one of your friends. I appreciate that right there. And let's just keep this thing going, man. One more other thing I just want to say before I get off of here real quick, because let me salute a real motherfucking shit when I see one. Yo, on some real shit, thank you in that boss. So you just made my goddamn day. Because I'm taking that right there and I'm putting it right in my savings. You know what I'm saying? I got my nickels and dimes from my rags and tatters. That goes into my savings with my other shit. You know what I'm saying? That just put me up. You know what I'm saying? I don't have nothing to buy. I don't want to get fly for it. See this hoodie I got on? I bought this yesterday for $4 because it was on sale. Y'all ever see me wear salmon? You know? Guys, I'm gonna get a ball here. Thank you, Annette. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna give you a pull right after this. Bye, guys.